There are currently in this space that we find ourselves in, two Earths. Two Earth realities. One reality is the old reality and one the new. The old Earth is still battling light against dark, stuck in polarity. This world is full of pain, suffering, and negativity. When you watch the television or read your mainstream media newspapers, it is all too evident that this Earth is suffering. The humans which live in this world are experiencing war, hatred, and pain. They are not the only ones who are suffering. The Earth itself is going through huge traumas. The animal kingdoms, plant, and even the Devic kingdoms are suffering along with Gaia in her old world expression. It would seem by looking upon this world it is doomed to suffer. The new world, the new Earth reality is only just being born. It began its gestation period during the year of 1999. Even though this reality was designed from the very beginnings of creation, it was only conceived during this year. There were many who were present at this tremendous moment in Earth's history. Some of them were aware of what was occurring, others did not. However, they all took up their positions at the moment of conception and held the energy of all the dimensions in place, as the light impregnated the dark soil of Gaia's body. This was the time of the great solar eclipse. This was a trigger moment which was the pivotal turning point. Previous to this time, many had been preparing. Some of us had even traveled forward in time to experience this new planet reality, to be able to hold the possibility of it occurring in the cells of our bodies. Those of us who traveled forward in time, brought back with us in energetic coding, the possibility to create new planet reality. We had this coding in the cells of our bodies and emanated it out into our auric fields. This emanation acted like a transmission of information. So all that came close to our fields had the ability to interact with this transmission and decide for themselves whether they wished to enter this new Earth reality, when it did indeed manifest. For the next few years after the conception of new planet coding into the fertile soil of Gaia's body, many came to those of us who held this coding, wishing to know more, whether consciously or unconsciously. Many needed to address all that stood in their way to creating the right energy matrix to be added to the pattern or matrix, which new planet Gaia was creating. Those of us who were healers had many clients, as wave after wave of souls incarnate wished to heal, balance, and overcome their karma, to be able to move into this new Earth reality. Light workers and healers alike were very busy. We were so busy with both our healing of others and also ourselves, we did not notice that quietly Gaia was growing inside her dark womb a completely new planet reality. For the years that followed, it almost seemed that nothing was occurring. We worked with guides to channel and bring forward information that would aid others in their healing. Many teachers stepped up and took their positions. We were full of hope and looked forward to our golden futures. The work was not without reward, but it was hard indeed. Many of those who we wished to help did not come forward. They were choosing to stay in the old reality, and therefore many of us had to painfully let go of loved ones and family members. This is a free will planet, and there are those who are choosing to move into the new planet, and there are those who are not. It is hard from the place of our human nature to let go of those who are not choosing to come with us into the new planet. We wanted to hold on to them. We even got angry and frustrated when those who were deaf did not want to hear, and those who were blind did not want to see. Many of those who were choosing to stay in the old world had traveled through many lifetimes with us. We were karmically bound. It took some time to finally free ourselves from these binds. At this point we were tired indeed, and for many of us who had taken our positions up at the first call, rested, some of us even thought we had lost our way. I myself gave up traveling and teaching seminars, and went to rest in India. Many of us found ourselves back in what we thought were old planet professions, and it almost seemed as if we were not doing our mission anymore. I know for myself I felt that deciding to settle in one place and take up a normal everyday job was somehow me failing at my mission. Little did I know that this was meant to be. I needed the rest. I needed to move off the stage and allow the next phase of actors to take up the play. I needed to anchor to Gaia and find my place and root myself to her body, to stabilize myself for what was to come. For a few years, it seemed that not much had changed in the world, and the momentum of the wave of consciousness had somehow dissipated. Then all of a sudden a ripple of energy passed through the collective consciousness of mankind, and the next wave of light workers took up their positions. These light workers were not so focused on healing, they were focused on truth. This was the time of 9/11. This is an encoded event. Now, from one perspective, we all know it is the Dark Cabal which did this, and what followed was the most appalling crime against humanity. The New World Order first came into light at this time. There were of course lots of people who believed the lies of the Dark Cabal and moved into fear. For those of us who had eyes to see and intuition functioning, we all knew exactly what was going on. It is now in this time becoming more and more mainstream knowledge. From another perspective, it is an encoded event. Not only did the Dark Cabal recognize this as a sign, to them obviously empowering evidence that their plan was going ahead, but for me it was also a triggered encoded event which my soul had been waiting for. I was in Germany at the time, staying with friends. I had gone for a walk with my girlfriend, and when we walked back into the house, her husband was crying and watching the TV. She asked what was wrong, and he explained that the Twin Towers had been attacked. As he said this, the TV showed the footage. She broke down in tears too and held him. I, however, rushed to the toilet. I needed to hide myself because I was having the most incredible energy rush and strange and unexpected reaction to this event. I was rushing with excitement. I wanted to jump up and down with ecstasy. Every cell in my body was tingling, and all I could keep saying in my head was, "This is it, we are going to the new planet." All the time I was having this experience, I could see images flooding my mind's eye. I saw the towers as the two poles of polarity. I saw them fall, and with them, the prison of polarity fell with them. I saw the Earth split in between the two towers, and I knew the two Earth realities had been made possible for humanity as a whole. It would be up to every individual to decide which reality they were going to stand in. I also had the image of the dollar sign. It looked like a snake with two bars, like the bars of a prison, trapping and confining and controlling the snake. The snake is the snake of creation, of Gaia. It is the ability to manifest, and it has been controlled and trapped for all this time. Now, with the bars of the prison falling, the snake of all creation would be free. I returned to my friends and pretended to be concerned as they were, not to appear too strange, but all the time I wanted to tell them not to worry. This was the start of much change, and eventually we would go to the new planet. From this time, a new wave of souls took up their positions to hold the energy of truth. Finding out that the Dark Cabal and the American government had done this evil deed made people start to ask questions about what else they had done without us knowing. So we started to demand the truth. We are seeing this in our time right here and now. All over the world, people are waking up, taking up their positions. They are demanding truth, weeding out every little bit of hidden information they can find. This wave of truth is raising higher and higher every day. Truth is a high energy which, when it comes into contact with a low energy, it stirs up things. You can see this happening in the world, in both your personal lives and in the world globally. As the energy of truth comes into contact with the dark, which is present on this planet, it agitates the dark, makes the dark react in its worst expression. The dark forces which have ruled and dominated this world for thousands of years are for the first time feeling threatened. They had become complacent, they have become arrogant, thinking their evil and dark agendas would never be realized and stopped. They thought there was nothing to challenge them. Now they are feeling the energy of truth coming onto the planet, they are indeed feeling threatened. I have seen this process many times in my healing work, both in seminars and individual healings. The process which I use and teach is based in this fundamental concept that truth agitates the dark. A low energy and a high energy cannot exist in the same space, so if you call in the higher energy of truth and allow it to sit in the same space as the dark low energy, it will call all that is not in truth to the surface to be healed. Once this healing is complete, then the truth has space in which to anchor. This healing goes on inside the cells of the body, raising the very frequency. The Earth is in the middle of this process. The light workers on the planet are channeling the truth frequency into the darkest places. It is agitating the dark cabal who rule this planet are feeling for the first time disempowerment. They are not used to this, they are being backed into a corner, and that is why they are reacting and laying down even more restrictive and binding rules and laws. They are trying to take away others' free will. This is only part of the process. It will continue for some time, but eventually the truth will bring all that has been hidden to the surface and a great healing will occur. You are seeing this also reflected in Gaia. She is shifting, with earthquakes, volcanoes, storms, and many other earth changes. These times in which we live can be challenging, but it is not to be feared. Hold the truth. That is all you are supposed to do. Let this energy bring to the surface all that is to be healed. Many light workers say just hold love, and even though love is indeed needed, it is not the only way. We need to stir things up, get people talking about all that has been hidden. For some of us truth warriors, we need to be strong and challenge other people's outdated paradigms. This is not an easy task, as many react with fear and anger. Many would rather attack the messenger. Stand strong in your truth, be in truth with love and respect, but do not falter. You can see this phenomenon in the protests which are rising all over the planet. Many are waking up, the dark cabal fear this the most, and are putting in measures to stop this rising of the truth. However, they will not be successful. For this wave of consciousness will gain momentum and will carry all who can surf the wave into the glory of a new planet reality. Are you one of the truth warriors? Do you try to tell others the truth, only to be met with fear and anger? I have noticed this going on in my own life. I have been trying to tell people about the chemtrails. They react in two ways. Either they do not believe me and are arrogant and ridicule me, or they do not care. This has been hard for me to understand. I have asked myself over and over, why do they not see them, as some physically cannot see them, and why do they not care? With much pondering on this, I suddenly realized what was going on, whilst I was complaining to a friend about their reactions. I heard myself say, my God, it seems like there are two realities going on here, they are in one and I am in another. It suddenly dawned on me that was exactly what was going on. There were indeed two realities going on. They were in the old world, where most humans are asleep, living and dreaming in their polarized reality. I and many others are in the other new planet reality, which is shifting and moving, trying to surf the wave of consciousness and truth which is crashing against its shore. I had often said things like, how can they not see what is going on in the world? I then realized the reason for this is because it was not going on in their world. They are in a completely different reality. These two realities are sitting side by side, and it is hard to see that there are two realities at all. Even for those who have already in their soul's plan signed up for this new planet reality, there are days when we move back into the old reality, and there are some days when we have one foot in one reality and one foot in another. Some days we are full of hope and promise for our futures, and other days, we are drowning in the negativity. This is a process which once again I have seen reflected in the transformation process that I teach. During this process, pain and negativity comes to the surface to be healed, and the person cries, gets angry, and moves through fear, and then the truth washes it away. But this is not the end of the process. There are layers and layers to most healing sessions. The next level of the issue will raise its ugly head to be blasted and eventually healed by the truth. As the process goes on, the challenges of healing become more and more intense. We are seeing this in our world. Every day there is more and more drama building. However, there comes a time in the process where the person gets to the core issue, which is always the same: the pain and fear of being separate from the source, the creator. Every issue in everyone's life has this at its core. With this healed, the person can anchor in incredible amounts of truth, and thus a change in vibration occurs. That is when the love of the soul floods the body, and I then see people crying with tears of joy. The issue they were healing seems silly, insignificant, and they get an overwhelming feeling that they were only playing in the illusion of the pain. This is what we as a collective are going through. We are moving through layers and layers to this issue of the illusion that is present on the earth. We eventually will get to the core issue. I believe this is happening in little ways every day. However, the big collective core issue was brought to the surface during the 2012 alignment. Once this is healed, we will move into the new planet. New planet reality is not for everyone. Some are not choosing to walk this path. At first I was concerned by them and went around trying desperately to wake people up, but was met with such negativity and aggression. I questioned what I was doing. My soul told me not to be concerned with them. This was not my business. I was to allow them their reality, and the more I focused on them, the more time I spent in the old reality, which would obviously hold me back from walking into the new planet. I was told to continue to spread the truth and hold the truth for those who did have eyes to see and ears to hear. But those who were deaf and blind, I was to allow their illusion. These two realities sit side by side, and it is not so obvious where the divide is at this time. But daily the realities are moving away from each other. Now at first it looks like to those of us who are awake that our world is falling apart. And sometimes we wish we had never woken up. Ignorance is bliss after all. However, we are only in the middle of a transformation process. We will live through many layers of this process before we move into the new planet reality completely and stay anchored there. We are moving into a new dimension. I know the way. I have already been there. Anyone interested can read this in the New Planet section of my book, The Mission of the One Star. I know there is more information about this to come, but for now my soul says this is enough. However, one more thing I wanted to tell you was, I had a dream which showed a huge solar wave of light that swept across the planet, and this somehow created two worlds. The old reality and the new reality were no longer sitting side by side, had indeed parted company and were sealed off from each other. I had this dream when I was a small child, and it is only now, since reading the scientific predictions of solar flares happening in 2012, that I remembered and understood the dream. Are we going to have a huge solar flare which will activate our DNA and take us to the new planet reality?